Hello everyone, my name is Nolan Staff, Mobi Fitness, and in this video we are going to go over the perfect workout for you if you are new to kettlebell training. Now, you might have been, interested in kettlebell training. Maybe a friend told you about it. Maybe you've seen some videos online, of it and it looked fun. Or, you're just getting back into shape and, you want something different than the traditional gym setting, right? Like, maybe you've been there, done that. Maybe it's just not for you and you want to try something different and kettlebell training interests you, or at least you want to find out more about it, right? And that's fair. It's a fantastic way to train. I remember when I was first getting into it, my body at that point in time really hurt. I had tremendous knee pain, shoulder pain. I was not very mobile, hard to move, not athletic at all. My body looked decent enough, but that's because I was really focused on bodybuilding type training. It got to a certain point, where it was just like, what am I doing? This isn't worth it. Like, just to, look a little bit better, have a little bit bigger muscles, at what cost? I hurt all the time and I was unable to move, and it just wasn't the way to live. And a friend actually suggested that I give kettlebell training a shot, you know what I mean? Because he knew that I like to lift weights, and I didn't want to give that up completely, but I needed a change in pace and I needed to really change my philosophy to training. Introduction to kettlebells right there. So I know how you feel, if you're in pain, you want to work out, but it's hard for you. Maybe you've just hit a wall and you're just like, man, what is going on? Like, age is catching up. My joints hurt from trying to lift super heavy weight. Maybe you're just getting into fitness and you don't know really where to turn. You don't want to go into that gym atmosphere, or you don't have much experience. You don't think you know what you're doing. That's fine. We've all been there. Definitely know that I've been there too. Either way, no matter what your, specific story is, kettlebell training is for everyone, all right? It changed my life, and I know it can change yours. It can make you a stronger, mobile, more powerful, conditioned person. If you're already an active person, it's going to skyrocket your athleticism through the roof, all right? If you're just getting into working out, this is the quickest, most effective, versatile tool you can possibly use to get in shape. Yeah, you're gonna put on some muscle, maybe you're not gonna be huge or anything, but it's gonna be athletic muscle. I'm telling you, you're gonna develop power, true functional strength, and conditioning too. Breathing a lot, muscular endurance, all of it. Kettlebell training is, changed my life, and I know it will change yours. If you've never done kettlebell training before, or if you're just getting back into working out, this workout is perfect for you. Now, the focus on this workout is going to be our two-handed swing, our deadlift, and our goblet squat and push-up. Now, these movements are just like, they are foundational movements to being a human, right? With our two-handed swing and our deadlift, we have that hip hinge pattern. And then with our goblet squat, of course, we have our squatting pattern. And with the push-up, we have a pushing pattern. And I'll get into these when I demonstrate the specific exercises, but that's our focus for today, is just practicing those foundational movements. Going into the workout, there's two parts that I split it up here. First off, we're starting with the skill part. Two exercises in our skill portion. We have the kettlebell deadlift. You'll be doing 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps of that exercise. And then the exercise right after the kettlebell deadlift is a two-handed swing. 5 sets, 10 to 15 reps. Now, some of you who are experienced in exercise might be questioning it and being like, Nolan, why is the kettlebell deadlift in a skill portion of the workout? That's like a strength exercise, right? You see strength down here. Well, for the most part, yeah, you're right. However, we are focusing purely on kettlebell training. And with kettlebell training, mastering and getting a good hip hinge is like the #1 foundational pillar to kettlebell training, is getting a nice proper hip hinge motion down with our body. That's like #1 when it comes to kettlebell training. That is numero uno, pinnacle of the top when it comes to kettlebell training. So for that reason, I am putting the kettlebell deadlift in the skill portion of this workout because, again, it's for beginners or people just getting into kettlebell training. Now, later down the line, when you progress with kettlebells or in working out in general, yeah, the kettlebell deadlift is probably gonna make a transition over into our strength portion of, our workout that we construct, right? Because it is a strengthening exercise for your hamstrings, your glutes, your posterior, your chain. But again, we need to practice the hip hinge pattern. And so we do that first and foremost, we put it into our skill. Second exercise is our two-handed swing. We're doing 5 sets of 10 to 15 reps of this exercise. The swing is a hip hinge pattern, but it's the another really like foundational part of kettlebell training. Everything stems off of the swing when it comes to your kettlebell training. You have of course, your two-handed swing, your one-handed swing into your cleans. It's still a swing. You're just bringing up into the front rack position. You have your snatches, your jerks. All of those exercises stem right from the swing. So it's super important to get the swing down, man. It's so important. When you're first starting your kettlebell training, you practice the swing over and over and over and over again. And even when you've been doing it for a long time, you still practice the swing over and over and over again. Every single one of my workouts that I do, and mind you, it's like 90% kettlebell workouts is all I do. It starts with swing practice. Two-handed swings, one-handed swings, maybe some cleans, maybe some high pulls, but it's swing. Always starting with a two-handed swing. Always a few sets to really, it's like, hey, this is super important and it's important that we get this thing down, right? So it's up there for a reason. We're doing 5 sets for a reason. Now, mind you, the rep number here is going to really depend on your kettlebell weight. And again, that's going to be unique to every single individual. As a male, I would say probably 16 kgs to start out with. That's going to be like roughly 35 pounds. As a woman, I'd say, a little less than that, probably, like a 12 kg, maybe even less. You want to find a nice happy medium weight. You don't want it to be too light because then you're going to be more inclined to use your arms and your shoulders when you're doing moves like the swing. You want it to be a medium weight, especially when you're starting off, because that will tell your body naturally to use the bigger muscles in your body, that being your hips and your glutes. And that's what you really want to use to drive the movement. The second part of our workout is going to be our strength part. We have 2 exercises with this one. The first one is our goblet squat. 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Again, squatting pattern, super important pattern that we as humans practice and do. Squats are phenomenal. Won't get into those in this video, but that's under our strength portion right there. And second will be the good old-fashioned push-up. It's very hard to replace a push-up, all right? So we are practicing those 2 exercises for the strengthening part of our workout. Now, if you can't do a push-up, you can go to your knees, or you can get on an incline or a decline, actually, get a little higher than ground level. That will make the push easier. If you want to make them harder, like you've been working out for a little while, you can do incline, where you put your feet up on something, and you're inclined down with your hands on the floor. That'll make it harder. But whatever variation that challenges you in this rep range, or you can just go slower with the eccentrics, or that just, challenge yourself with push-ups along with this goblet squat here. Challenge yourself, all right? That's the whole goal when we get to the strength portion. Challenge ourselves while maintaining good form. So that is our workout right there. Let me get into it, demonstrate the exercises, and we can run through it. All right, first up we have our kettlebell deadlift. So you're going to position the kettlebell between your feet here, feet Hip width, toes pointed forward, kettlebell in between our toes. We are going to bend over at the hip. This is a hip hinge motion. We are not squatting, we are hip hinging, bending over at the hip. A couple cues that you can remember to help you out. One, you can pretend like there's a wall behind you and you're tapping. You're tapping that wall with your butt or your glutes, your hips, whatever. Pretend like there's a wall slightly behind you, you're tapping. Also, think about when you sit. Just stand up and go do this right now and sit in a chair. What do you do when you sit? You don't bend at your knees, right? You go back, you go back when you go and sit, right? Same motion, hip hinging down, slight bend in the knees, straight but not straight. Pretend like you're squeezing oranges between your armpits to engage your upper body, your lats, and your core to stabilize the upper part of your body here. We are going to bend down, grab the kettlebell. You should feel tension in your hamstrings and in your glutes as you load yourself with the kettlebell. You're going to press through the midfoot and heel of your foot and exhale on the way up. Lowering down in control, feeling the stretch on your hamstrings. Think about your hamstrings working like a rubber band, right? You're gonna feel that tension. Think about it as a rubber band. It's stretching, 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 and up. Squeezing the glutes at the top. Stretching, 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 and exhaling, squeezing the glutes at the top. Stretching, 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 stretching. Now I'll change this way to the side so you can see it from the side view here. Kettlebell is in between our feet, feet hip width, toes pointed forward. We are hip hinging down, grabbing the kettlebell, feeling the stretch and tension on our hamstrings and our glutes already, squeezing those oranges, keeping a nice neutral spine, exhaling up, squeezing the glutes at the top, lowering in control, feeling the stretch in our hamstrings, squeezing at the top. One more time, facing forward so you can see my feet are hip width, toes pointed forward. Bending over at the hip, loading the hamstrings. Just like that. Kettlebell deadlift. Next exercise is the two-handed swing. Now, I already stressed this a lot earlier in the video, so I'm not gonna try to do that. I'm gonna try to do it as less as possible, but a proper setup for your two-handed swing, and this is gonna go for basically almost 90% of your kettlebell exercises from this point forward will be with this setup, because it always starts with the swing. If you're picking it up, putting it in the front rack, you're gonna swing it up first. Same with snatches, same with even a goblet squat. You gotta swing it up and get it in that position first, right? So to do that, to set up, you are going to have your feet about shoulder width. You're going to have the bell about a foot, maybe a foot and a half in front of your body. You will do a hip hinge movement like we just practiced with the kettlebell deadlift, hence why we practiced it, because it's super important that we get that down. Hip hinging, bending at the hip, feeling the stretch in our hamstrings and in our glutes. We're going to grab the kettlebell, squeeze those oranges to brace our core here. We're going to load our hips, and we are going to hike the kettlebell back between our legs and then thrust up. When you thrust up, press your feet into the ground like you're crushing grapes beneath your feet, or you're jumping, but you're not actually gonna jump. And think about sending the bell up vertically. Displace energy vertically. Yes, in the kettlebell swing, it looks like it's going out, but the energy is really going up. If it's going out, you're gonna lose control and it's gonna look all wobbly, and it's probably gonna torque your back when you come back through your legs. Think about sending the bell vertically, and you're gonna see a slight bend in my arms when I do this because I'm sending it vertically. So load the hips, hike it back, and thrust. Exhaling with thrust. Now, from the side, feet shoulder width, bending at the hip, grabbing the bell, squeezing the oranges, loading our hips, hiking back. And forward. Again, super important that we get this exercise down. It is the foundation, baby. Hip hinge, two-handed swing. Your first workouts that you do when it comes to kettlebells, do these movements. I promise, you're gonna think, oh, we're gonna get bored. You're not gonna get bored, because when you first do them, they're gonna kick your butt and you're gonna be sore, baby. I guarantee that you probably don't work your hamstrings a whole lot, right? You're probably sitting down a lot. Well, I can't make that assumption, but you know, nowadays, a lot of us have desk jobs and we're just sitting down, driving the car, whatever. Hamstrings get tight, right? This is gonna loosen those up and you're gonna work them. But yeah, without getting too much into that, little offshoot, these two exercises, do them over and over and over again. And even when you think you're good at it, start with them and do them over and over and over again, because that's only gonna make you better. All right, moving on to our strength portion of the workout. The first exercise that we have is the goblet squat, to practice that good squat mechanic. And the goblet squat is so good for this reason, because you have the kettlebell in front of your body, right? You're loading in front. With a barbell, it's on your back, and this can cause issues if you don't have proper mobility. Also, it doesn't challenge your core and stability quite as good as, like, you know, a kettlebell, you know, goblet squat does. So to perform this exercise, you're going to have your feet about shoulder width, toes slightly outwards at a 45-degree angle here, about, more or less, right? Now, this isn't a hip hinge, this is a squat, so we're squatting down. However, to get the kettlebell into the goblet position, we have to do a swing, but catch it up here, right? So, same setup that we had before with our swing, bending at the hip, grabbing it, hiking it, and catching it up here by the horns. This is how I like to hold it. You can hold it, you know, multiple different ways. You can hold it by the side here. You can hold it, you know, like here with your thumbs through the horns. But I just like to hold it right here by the horns in this position. Tests my grip strength also, and I feel like it really connects everything, my core, you know, hands all the way down to my feet. I really feel the kinetic chain activate when I have it in this position, but mess around with it, do what works for you. So we're gonna hold it in this position here, and we're gonna squat. Now, everybody, your squat mechanic is not gonna look the same as your neighbor's, right? For multiple different reasons. One, maybe you don't have the mobility of, you know, say me, where I can go super low like that, and that's okay, it'll come over time. Maybe your legs are shorter, so it looks maybe a little different than somebody who has long legs, like me. Now, two cues that I want you to focus on when you're doing your goblet squat. One, when you go down and come up, think about opening your knees and your ankles. Stay open, right? They stay open throughout. We don't want them caving inwards when we go down into our squat. This is going to ruin our knees and cause knee pain and issue. A lot of people have knee pain. They think, why do I have knee pain? Well, your squat mechanics might be wrong. So open the knees, open the ankles outwards. Second, chest up. Keep your chest high. Don't cave over when you go down. Think about keeping your chest up high, right? From the side, your goblet squat will look like this. Getting it into the front rack position, catching it, and going down into our squat, keeping our chest high and our knees out. Goblet squat. And the final exercise of the workout will be our push-up. Now this one, don't make it overly complicated. You know, I'm sure you've done a push-up before, right? I want you to focus on doing the progression that challenges you, whether that's incline, decline, or regular. And then also keep your elbows in. Don't get out here to where you're using your shoulders. Try to keep them in where you're using your chest and your triceps for the movement, right? And you're gonna feel your core work a lot more when you do that also. So just to demonstrate a push-up. So we're gonna get into our push-up position here. Hands right over our chest, right? Not way out here. They don't need to be way in here. We're not doing diamonds. Right over our chest, inside of our shoulder area here. I don't want to hit my kettlebell. All right. I've got a whole lot of room, but we'll make it work. Okay, so into proper position. We have a nice neutral spine there, and we are braced, our glutes are squeezed. We're coming down and pressing up, exhaling. Again, don't make it complicated. I mean, you can do different variations of it. You can go, you know, faster if you want. You can slow it down, whatever. It's a push-up. Mess around with it, play with it. If you like the kind that I just did, where it's, you know, kind of controlled and whatnot, and you're going for full range of motion, go ahead. Again, don't make it complicated. Just hit that 8 to 15 reps and challenge yourself with that movement. So that wraps up our beginner level kettlebell workout for people who are just getting right into kettlebell training or getting, you know, right back into the gym, whatnot, doesn't matter. This is a really, really solid workout for you to do. You're gonna build that skill with the hip hinge motion along with a two-handed swing. And you're also gonna build a little bit of strength too with your squat and your push movements. If you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you wanna see more kettlebell content, go ahead and subscribe. And if you are a beginner, and you might be if you're watching this video, head on over to to the link in the description to get my free kettlebell ebook beginner's guide. In that ebook, I go over everything that a beginner would need to know about kettlebell training, you know, the movements and just different types of kettlebells, the whole shebang. It's totally free. Highly suggest you pick that up if you are interested in this type of training and you want to go and progress further. Yeah, highly suggest that. So until next time, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate the support, and we will catch you in the next one.